Just to explain to you a little bit what was the situation. I think you start to know me after 1.5 years here in the club, and I never escaped from my responsibilities. So normally you see my face in the bad moments, or in these moments that we make evaluation of half season or the end of the season, or when there are bad moments. And my profession, deontology, taught me to take always responsibility on my actions. And if I'm sport director, I'm responsible for whatever happens in my department. So since I'm here, we changed to two head coaches, as you know. I was big part of the choice of changing the coaches, and I was big part of the choice of bringing a new coach. But at this second time, of course, like usual, like in the first time, I put my mandate to the disposition of my president, because I understand when there is something big, something huge in the sports department, like the change of the head coach, because it's something that I don't like to do, I need to assume this failure as mine. If player fails, if assistant coach fails, if the main coach fails, bottom line is my responsibility. Whatever happens in football department, even in the academy. So in this case, I put my mandate to disposal of the president and to the supervisory board, because the club is assembled in one way that it's very specific how each of the bodies has to act. And in my part, like I told you since the beginning, I will always try to be a solution and never a problem. And that time I felt that maybe in some people's head I would be a problem. And I didn't want to be. That's why also, you know, when I signed my new agreement with Hajduk in the beginning of, on the end of last season, I put in the agreement something that will always keep Hajduk and me very comfortable. If one of the parties is not happy with the other, there is no strings attached. And that time I felt that probably for some people's head I would be a problem. I can tell you there was one member of the supervisory board that specifically asked for my head and told me, you have to go. So it's no problem. They are the owners, they represent the owners, so I would be available to go whenever they wanted. But I was signed by Ivan Kos. And Ivan Kos told me that I'm still necessary, and Ivan Kos asked me to stay, to perform transition, to take care of transfer window, or to be here until the end of the season. So I will be here as long as they want me to be here. But I think that this is big merit of the president. We had a very black November, if I can consider that. And President showed through his attitude that we took the right decisions. That it was not easy to change Joan Carrillo, because he's a good coach. But I think that what happened after that showed that we made the right decisions. And in this case, President just asked me to keep on with my work the best way I can. And it's what I'm doing. So if my work will end on 31st of December, will end on 15th of February after the transfer window, or on the 31st of May after the last game, it's not a problem, I mean, please.
What do you wish? Do you want to stay till the end of contract, or you want to go earlier?
My wish is to be successful with Hajduk. This is my wish. I, by default, like to fulfill my commitments. And my commitment with Hajduk is until the 30th of June 2018, and I would like to stay until that time. If you ask the president, he already told me, and I think it's not a secret, he would like me to stay until the end of his mandate, which I believe is June of 2019. But I cannot, in this club I learned we cannot make long-term plans. We cannot think too much about projects, because projects are always based on results, and here much more than anywhere else. I would like to stay. I like the club. I start to feel the club as a little bit as my own, with all due respect, because I really like to be here. I like the city, I like the people, but I need to have results. So I cannot tell you that I'm going tomorrow or in 6 months, but I would like to stay until the end of my mandate, because I still think there is something better to come, and there is something better to do. I still think that we have space to improve, and I would like to go from Hajduk having the assurance that I've done my best, and having the assurance that I put a little bit of my contribution to take this club to the right way, to the way of success and to the way of titles, hopefully. If Kopic was not my choice, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I would never stay in Hajduk if my word wouldn't be valid enough to choose a new coach. How could I not choose Kopic and then be sitting and working with him? We understood at that time, after Pušnik, after Kariljo, we understood that we needed a Croatian coach, to a space for Croatian coach. As you all know, Kopic was already in some kind of consideration before, and we never had doubts that if we would go for Croatian coach, Kopic will be the choice. It's not a question that Pušnik was not my choice. We started more or less at the same time, but when I accepted to be Hajduk sport director, I knew that Pušnik was one of the candidates to be coach, so I was also part of that decision. Maybe not in the same measure like it was in Kariljo, I will not hide that, because Kariljo was also a consideration when Mr. Pušnik came here. That's why also my position after Kariljo was resigned from the club or was sacked from the club, my position was different. That's why I showed to president, to the board, that if they thought that the fact that Kariljo in some way failed, it was also be my failure, and I was ready to pay with my position. Problem was mostly the results. There is nothing else to say, because you all agree that Kariljo improved our level of game, improved our players. Probably Kariljo, like I and like the president, we are paying probably the invoice of having given too much hope to people in the summer, because I believe, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, maybe the level of football and the team that you saw in the summer gave to all of us some expectations that this would be the year. And I have to tell you that I'm responsible for whatever happened in the last 1.5 years. But I cannot bear on my back the 10 previous years. But I know that for the fans, the 10 previous years also make a heavy weight, because it was 10 years without titles, 10 years without being incredibly successful. And we, in 1.5 years, managed to improve, I believe, in some things, in club terms and in sports terms. We made largest number of points since the league is done is played with 10 clubs. We managed to have a top goal scorer after 25 years. We had the biggest transfer of one player in the history of Hajduk. We beat Dinamo in Maksimir, and now we beat Rijeka away. We beat Osijek also, and no one beat Osijek besides Cibalio this year in one away game. So I think that we showed to people that we could. And now we are paying a little bit the invoice of this frustration. Kariljo paid with results, and I know that people that time thought, okay, Kariljo paid and Brancom and Kos are not taking their responsibility. But our responsibility is towards Hajduk, and our responsibility is to try to do the right thing. And I think now, these last 6 games since Kopic took over, validated our decision of changing the coach. Even if I don't like that, honestly, I really don't like to change coaches, because I believe that project is much more than that. But in this club, like in many other clubs, results do matter and do make a big difference. But I believe that we prove that this is a process. So Kariljo went, I could have gone, but for the sake of Hajduk, I think it's important for Ivan Kos to stay at least until the end of this mandate, because he performed some things in this club in 1.5 years or almost 2 years that I believe, at least for what I know of the recent history of the club, no one ever could have done it. We took the risk, and I told also to you two last time we spoke officially, that we took the risk on the transfer window when we lost Marko and then we sold Vlasic. We took the risk of this. I always told you that if I was going to be egoist with myself, just covering my own position and my job, probably I would try to keep Nikola. Mostly yes, but as usual, I expected much more. If you ask me, I wouldn't expect to be now 12 points from first place. I wouldn't. Last time we spoke, I told you that we would fight for the top. We are second in the league, but I cannot hide myself behind second place and say, look, we are in the top. We are not. We are better than we were, we are better than we were, because probably even you wouldn't expect that we would arrive now in second place and in semi-finals of the cup. It's not. I don't want to make it individual, because this is something that I will do with Kopic and in the evaluation that we are doing in the last month. The transfer window will show probably with which players we are satisfied and which players we were expecting more. As I told you before, one thing that I have very good with me is that I can recognize when I was wrong or what I did wrong. So every player that came in the summer came for a reason. Some of them justified those reasons, some of them didn't justify. And the ones who didn't justify those reasons will probably be in transit during the transfer window, if I can say so. We need experienced and quality players to have results, because if you ask people around, people want to win.
Okay.
If we win with 11 foreigners on the pitch, no one will say anything to us. Mm-hmm. If we lose with 11 Croatians on the pitch, everyone will try to kill us. So win and results is the most important. As I told you, I would prefer to have Croatian players, I would prefer to have younger players, I would prefer to have players from the academy. But sometimes it's hard in Hajduk to predict a long-term project. I know that, for instance, we brought some Croatian players, Pešić, Šehić, etc. And I know that everyone is now criticizing those options. So I understand that people, in a passionate way, when things go wrong, criticize some decisions. Also in a very passionate way, when things go right, we are all the best. But I am paid and I am professional to be here and to take decisions rationally, the way I think decisions should be taken, and not by exterior pressure. Even if people do not agree with me all the time. I'm not also the owner of the reason, but while I'm still sitting in this chair and I'm still holding this position as sport director, I'll try to take the best decision possible to protect the club. Honestly, I think, if I want to be very concrete, he brought enough, but we need more. I think Hugo can be a reference for...
I'm not worried for the younger guys.
He's a reference. You just saw the last game, how the team, how the colleagues, the teammates celebrated with him his goals. Because when other young players and also more experienced players are training with a player like Hugo, with his CV, with his career, they improve.
Like we learned for our grandparents.
It's not the same. Maybe you are comparing in terms of age. I believe that in terms of numbers, Hugo can bring us more. But you see, Hugo in 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes he shows difference. He has possibilities. And if you see, we brought Hugo, despite the typology and the physiognomy being similar to Marko Futac, type of game is completely different. So Hugo is much more for these kind of games here in Polju, that normally the teams will be very close against us. So that games that we have 70% of possession and the teams play in a very short block, and you need a target man that in a small space can solve the problem. But Hugo also showed, like for instance in Rijeka, that he can play with 50 meters in his back, he can hold the ball, and he can give time for the team to breathe. What happened?
Everybody knows what he's capable to do, but
I believe that now he came in the last day of transfer window. He was competing in Greece, but one thing is to do preparation in one side, play 7 games like he played in AEK, and then come to Hajduk for 1 game, then transfer window, then results were not coming. So it was like it was a snowball. It was a snowball. I believe that now, in January, we'll a little bit more peace, because we buy peace with results, as normal. I believe that also he can be in a much better level in the spring. It's not a question of regretting. Normally, I don't regret the decisions I take, because I take the decisions at the moment according to some objective reasons. But I'm not stupid. So sometimes when I look back, I said maybe I could do this in some other way. This situation against Dinamo was something that I'm not proud of, but I misbehaved without being impolite. I reacted to some kind of provocations, because I've been taught by my parents, when you go to someone's house, you need to respect the host. And I believe that people here are not respecting Hajduk and us as hosts, and maybe I overreacted, but I didn't touch anyone. I just spoke, and I just answered to some provocation. I shouldn't do that because I should set examples.
Pardon
but
my French.
but I don't regret what happened. Maybe I was too emotional and less rational. Radonic was nothing special. Radonic, I was in the tunnel and I just saw one player celebrating like he won the Champions League and swearing against our fans, and this is something that it's not nice. And I also reacted rationally, but I didn't touch anyone because I told you, look at Radonic and look at me, and you can understand easily why shouldn't I pick up a fight with him. For me, it's very simple. When I came here, I already knew and already heard about Torsita. It's the oldest fan group in Europe. It's a benchmark in Europe. And this is something that raises the name of Hajduk in a good way all over Europe and all over the world. So we have the best fans in Croatia, probably one of the best fans in Europe. And this, I understand that they are passionate, and sometimes when things are not going the right way or the way they think is the best, they are disappointed, they are frustrated, and they react. I believe that reactions should be done in the stands, with transparent, with singing, whatever, because they always stood by us and they always were backing us up. What I don't agree is when these things go over certain boundaries, when go to private lives of people, whatever they are, players, coaches, sport director, presidents, whatever, because we are professionals and we want to do the best we can. So what I don't agree is that this goes over these boundaries, because Split is a wonderful city, but if these kind of things spread in terms of information, it's harder for us. And I can tell you that we are at the moment under negotiation with some players, because as you know, there are some contracts expiring, there are some contracts that need to be upgraded or extended. And this situation that happened with some players is creating me and creating the club some difficulties. Because sometimes we have sport agreement, we have financial agreement, but players have also families. Players also have private life. And one thing is to break the rules in private life when players go out or do not perform their duties as good professionals that they should be. The other thing is for the players to feel uncomfortable or insecure. This is something that any of us cannot agree with. So fans, I will hugely respect all the time. I believe that they are the main strength of this club. This club belongs to the fans. The club is assembled also in a social way that the fans are the owners. So the fans have two ways of showing their disappointment. In the stands, or through their bodies. Because it's very easy through Nash Hajduk, through supervisory board, to make me or the coaches or the players or the president to make us aware of their discomfort and say, look, you are not the right guy in your position. And in my case, it's very easy to solve. Regarding the players, it can create us some difficulties, and it's already creating some difficulties because I told you we had a Black November. It was not easy for anyone. I don't like that some of your colleagues put in the newspapers my picture without head and with a question mark. I don't like that people disrespect me personally, not professionally, because professionally I'm not above any criticism. So you can criticize me. For sure, both of you have different opinions regarding what I do. It's normal. This is football. This is what we work with. But I cannot allow when people disrespect personally. Like someone wrote that I have some interest regarding some players, connection with my brother. It's some things that I really cannot agree. And I really would like to avoid it. And that's why maybe I'm talking to you too and not talking with someone else. It's very easy. Authority in the locker room belongs to the coach. There are some defined rules in written, and coach has total authority on the locker room. If player goes over certain boundaries, then the club has to act. In that case, due to objective reasons, coach decided, Joan Carrillo decided that Said would have to go to the B team. And we respected his decision.
Do you think
On the
it
other-
was
on the-
good decision?
I don't know if it was good or bad decision. It was decision of the coach, and my job is to back him up. What I said to Joan Carrillo is, what do you need so that we can go to the right track in terms of results? And one of the situations that he requested me was that. Very simple, among others. And we took the decision. On the other hand, my responsibility is to give to the coach the best weapon possible in order to provide results. And when Kopic came, the first thing I had to do, it was not Kopic's decision, it was mine, I assumed it, I had to put Said in the A team. Because he is a player of the A team, he was that time still top goal scorer of the team in the league, in HNL, so I cannot prevent Kopic of coming to Hajduk in a difficult moment and not giving him what I think are the best weapons. If tomorrow Kopic says, I want to change Said and Orhans and send them to the B team and bring 2 strikers from the B team up, there's no problem whatsoever. But at that moment, it was my decision, under the scope of my duties and under the defense I have to do of Hajduk's interests, to put Said in the A team. And I don't believe it was a bad decision. Last year, by this time, there was a big fuss, mediatic fuss about Orhanza because of some statements. What I tell you is that we have, since then, very good relationship with him, very good relationship with Mr. Koenig, which is his German agent. We've been talking last week with Mr. Koenig. We have officially made an offer for extension of the contract with better conditions than what he has now. But I also understand their position. Frank has been here for a long time. I believe that being 1991, he has also other expectations. And I believe, like you asked, that at the moment, we are a little bit on hold because those situations that happened that created some uncomfort to the players outside of the pitch is making some of them rethink their future with Hajduk. But I'm happy with what Frank is producing now. It's huge merit of him and huge merit of our staff because he's probably, you will agree with me, not have been for this level consistently for a long time. So this is big merit from him because he's doing an effort. He's doing an effort. And I think that our accessory staff, not only the technical staff, but our health and performance and recovery team is doing a very good job with him. And I'm very happy with what he's producing. So now we would like to keep him, but now transfer window is coming. We have to see what are his expectations, what is going the market to act regarding his last performance and the goals that we scored. But in the worst of the cases, I don't have any problems of taking the risk of Frank staying here until the end of the season and then maybe going free. Because I believe that what he can bring us sportively can compensate what probably in these hypothetical terms we can lose with the future transfer. Because we also need to recognize what he gave us since he is here in Hajduk. So we are still open to a lot of possibilities, but there is no speculation now. We are on the right track. We are talking professionally and calmly with him and with his agent, and we will see what's going to happen in the next few weeks. I believe that Marco was a little disappointed after the injury because I believe if he would not be injured, he'll probably not be in Hajduk anymore because we were going to play Everton. He was called up for national team that time. So I believe that for sure during the summer transfer window we would go. When he came to Hajduk, we negotiated some conditions, and one of the conditions was a breaking clause in the contract, yes. He had a breaking clause in the contract. And of course we cannot also hide that Marco's identification with Joan Carrillo and the way that he played was very strong. So when Carrillo left, we were here in a little bit of a gray zone. But I can assure you that while I will be here, Marco will also be here. And at the moment, we have things 98% controlled regarding extension of his contract. Marco was already in Split during this game against Ita Zaprisic.
I
I believe that at the moment, due to a big effort from his side and also effort from the club in terms of recovery, he is 1 month advanced in the recovery. So he will be with 5 months of operation on the 28th of January. So now on 28th of December, it will be 4 months. And I believe that everything goes well. He can go with the team to Turkey, and he will start progressively with the team in Turkey. So I believe from 16, 17 of January, he can be in the pitch, maybe still on the side. But I hope that when he performs 6 months of recovery, it will be 28th of February. It collides with the game semi-final of Lokomotiva in the cup. I believe that he could be at least at the disposal of the coach on that time. If you can recall, when I came here, what we had as in strikers, no, I'm not saying names, I'm just saying as what we had as strikers that time and what we have now. So things are more or less controlled. As I told you, with Marco it will not be a problem. With Marco it will not be a problem. Hugo, it's different question because of his age, because of what he expects for his future. So it's something that can also be a problem. I believe that in certain systems they can play both. And I hope that during the spring we can try that, because I believe the scope of my job, as I told you all the time, is to defend club's interest and create as much good headaches to the coach as I can. So if he has 5 top strikers or 3 top goalkeepers, for me, I rest my case. I'm really aware of that. I understand that now things are very dynamic. Carlo, for instance, Letica probably started the season as theoretical number 3, and he ended the half season playing. This for me is very good. It means that level is more or less balanced, that tomorrow can play Stipica or Grbić or Letica, and the team will not feel the difference. Then we need to sit and understand what each of them expects for their own future, and then we have to fit that expectations with our decisions. So it's likely that we can change something in the goal now in the winter, but I'm satisfied with what we have. Kopic is also satisfied with what he has, but now we need to fit the possibilities. For the first time in the last few years in Hajduk, you can sell players for a significant amount of money, players with 28 years old. If in the winter now we would like to transfer Ante Erceg or Nižić, we have market for them. And maybe market at a level that none of you expected when they came here. So if we can easily do calculation, Nižić, Borja, Radošević, Ivan Savas, Memola, Hamza, Erceg, Said or Hanza, you can easily sell each one of them, of course, different amounts, different expectations, but we can. Younger or older or more experienced, important is to keep financial sustainability of the club. And I know that many people accuse me of, you are spending too much money to be third. But we upgraded the budget in football terms around 30% since I came, more or less 30-40%. But we spend still, in football terms, and I'm talking about salary caps of the academy, professional football coaches, like according to what is publicly known, so I don't know exactly the details, but we spend 2 times less than Rijeka, and maybe 5 or 6 times less than Dinamo. If we want to be there and to fight all the time for top positions, we need to step by step upgrade. Because it's very easy for everyone to say, Mario Branco has to bring top players. Top players mean top transfer fees, mean top salaries. But then I cannot forget the balance of the locker room. Because then you have top players and you have boys getting very little money. And here, unfortunately or not, everything is public. Everyone knows everything. And everyone tends to compare with teammate on the side. So, and I don't want that. I want to do things on the right way, step by step in a balanced way. And it means that in this way, which is very dynamic, we will lose something during the process. It's normal. We will lose some players that are not satisfied, some players that we need to sell, but we will lose them because we have a higher benefit and a higher objective. Is that step by step we can upgrade, and then yes, we can fight and we can be balanced with the other. Veršović last year was not playing right back. Ristovski was playing right back.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, right now.
But how long have they been in Croatia? They came.
Can you find players like this?
I don't have a magic wand, and all of a sudden I touch something and a good player. And we need to understand that. I think we tend to over-evaluate what the others have and under-evaluate what we have. As I told you from the beginning, I'm not blind. I can see that we have space to improve. I'm not talking about right back or left back. I'm talking about in general. All of a sudden, if I tell you I will bring a striker, you'll tell me, Mario, why you bring a striker if you have these kind of strikers? Logical. But in every sector, we need an upgrade. There is space for upgrade. I've been discussing with Kopic, and we need to understand now he came to a different club. He was used to one reality. Now he has another. But with these players that we made, it was with these players that we made 5 wins out of 6 in the last 1 month and a half. So we cannot all of a sudden change just for changing. And with these players, mostly with these players, we beat Dinamo away last year. We beat Osijek. So we need to understand where we are. And we are not so good now because we won 5 out of 6. Like we are not so bad as everyone was painting after Rudeš. The midterm, the balance is the right way. I'm trying and I'm prepared to try to upgrade the team in this transfer window. This is my 4th transfer window, and I believe, maybe it's my opinion only and maybe I'm being immodest, I believe that we managed to upgrade the team every transfer window.
Okay, you earn your salary.
If I was not earning my salary, probably the president already sent me back. I believe that within this process there was some mistakes, but I believe that we are improving. I would not like to speak about positions. I can tell you what Kopic asked me for, because we have different coach with different ideas. So we probably will have a more dynamic system, and for that cases we found out that in some sectors we need players with different characteristics. I don't like to do that, but the benchmark is always what we did last year, right? This is the comparison that we need to have. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but comparison has to be done in the end of the season. You always ask me, what is your objective? My objective is always to be competitive and to fight for the top. This year we are still in the cup. Last year, unfortunately, we were not. As I told you in the beginning, I was not expecting to be 12 points from first place. But I believe also that if you saw the performances of the team that is now in first place, you wouldn't expect that they have 50 points out of 60. In normal cases, with the kind of performance that they have compared with us, the difference should be smaller. But it's not. It's what we have. Yeah. It's not what we have. So if you tell me, are you satisfied? No, I'm not. I wanted more. But we can still reach more. Okay, you can tell me that in 20 rounds we lost 12 points for the leader. Maybe in 16 we can recover. Maybe. And now we are 1 game away of playing 1 final. So we are 2 games away, if everything goes well, of getting 1 title, which is something important. I would be happy if we can go forward in the cup, and I will be happy if we can do more than what we did last year, 69 points. I will be happy. Not satisfied, but happy if this happens, because I really want more. I want, if I leave Hajduk next summer, I want to leave Hajduk with a clear conscience that I upgraded something in the life of this club. It's hard to do that. It's hard to say that. Last year I told you that I told you in the winter that Vlasic will do probably his best in the spring, because I felt him happier than ever happier than ever when we went to the winter break. Now in the winter when we start preparation, there is some players from the B team that will start with us, and some players that will try to step by step insert in the A team. I'm not going to tell you who is going to be this or that, the next big thing. Obviously, if you have Letica, Carlo on the goal 1997, or if you have Toma 1996 playing at this level, it's normal that the market will ask for them. But you have Hamza 1994, that half of Europe is looking at him. You have Ante Erceg, which is 1989, but has incredible numbers this season and last season. Yes, please. It's the right time to be step by step inserted in the system of the A team, yes. At the moment we have Nijic that is regular with national team, with Mr. Dalic's choices. But I believe that we will have one or two players that in a wider scope of the 22 choices could be headache for the national team coach.
What is with new contract of Nijic?
It's not a problem, new contract with Nijic. We have agreed on upgrading his conditions because he's the captain of the team and he deserves to be one of the key players in the locker room and also in budget terms. And we are okay with that. We just 2 days ago completed the negotiations that we've been holding since last summer. And I believe that now Nijic is satisfied. He understands his responsibility and his position in Hajduk. And I think that also he understands that by being in Hajduk, by being the captain of Hajduk, and by performing at this level, he will be near to being in Russia next summer. No, it's not a question. It's not a question of course, that there are problems. First problem is that we have 12 points behind the leader, and that the fans have been shown, even when we are winning, that they are not satisfied. I also want to tell them that I'm not satisfied, and I'm working my best in order to try to bring them their satisfaction, because I said since the first day here, I've told you, no one wants to win more than me. No one wants to win more than me. I'm not here just to give you an idea that I'm being optimistic. No, I'm working the best way I can. It's not easy to work when you believe that people are asking for your head all around. It's not easy, but this is the scope of my job. This is football. That's why normally in football we have better conditions than people in some other jobs, because today we have job and tomorrow maybe we don't have. And here I'm really ready for that, to be here today and probably not to be here tomorrow. But while I'm still here, I will do my best. This you have to be sure of. Mostly I need to thank people for the way they have receiving me for this 1.5 years. I'm Portuguese, I'm a foreigner. I really to thank people because they have been really nice to me here in the city. I really feel like one of you. And I want to wish to everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope everyone is healthy. This is the most important. And I hope that I can bring them in Hajduk and in sportive terms the joys that they all desire and they all deserve.